OpenAI just had their first Dev Day, and they have some really big announcements, things that are upcoming and things that are already live. First piece of huge news is GPT-4 Turbo has been released. So difference between GPT-4 and GPT-4 Turbo is not exactly described on the technical level. We would assume that there's been a shrinking of the parameter count of the model to some extent. So that means quantizations, reducing the size of the model, means so it runs faster, but gets similar levels of performance. We don't know how much smaller GPT-4 Turbo is, but we do know that it's running at 3 times cheaper price for input tokens and 2 times cheaper price for output tokens compared to GPT-4. The other addition is 128K token context, which is almost hilarious to see, seeing as Anthropic was thinking that maybe they could build a moat around themselves with their 100K token context. I'm always personally a little skeptical of super high context models like this, because it's been shown again and again that increasing the context window does not lead necessarily to well-distributed attention to the context that it has. And what that means is when you give it more and more information, context gets bigger and bigger, then the weights inside the model get less good at paying attention to stuff nestled deep inside the context. So although technically you are fitting that much data into the input to the model, it might not be as high quality of a summary or as high quality of an extraction. Either way, this is extremely useful for developers because one of the primary limitations of these models are the low token counts. Up next are updates to function calling that lets you describe functions of your app or external APIs to models and have the model intelligently choose to output a JSON object containing arguments that call those functions. Up next is improved instruction following in JSON mode. If you develop with these, you'll find that JSONs are very critical to creating custom applications. JSON mode ensures that the model will respond with valid JSON, which is a very painful problem for those of you who have tried to develop with JSONs, is that the model itself will be very finicky and unpredictable. Up next is reproducible outputs and log probabilities. So there's a new seed parameter, which enables reproducible outputs, they say, with consistent completions most of the time. The ability to reproduce completions is going to vastly improve the quality of life for testing these models in production type applications. Up next, the Assistance API. Assistance API is what they call a step towards helping developers build agent-like experiences. An assistant is a purpose-built AI that has specific instructions, leverages extra knowledge. So something like code interpreter or internet search, these are all sort of assistants. This is the beginning of really seeing assistance at scale. It also introduces persistent and indefinitely long threads. And that means the ability to hand off state management to OpenAI and work around context window constraints. Up next, new modalities in the API. There's now API access to GPT-4 Turbo with Vision. You can pass images now. Basically, the applications of this are limitless. Really anything that's going to be processing images. You can also integrate DALL-E 3 text to speech, also been added to APIs. There's also GPT-4 fine tuning. They are launching a custom models program for these enormous organizations to work with a dedicated assigned group of OpenAI researchers. If you need a really complicated custom model and you're $1 billion company with billions of dollars of proprietary tokens, we'll build you a model and save you that time. There's a copyright shield. They call copyright shield a feature that allows them to step in and defend customers, pay costs and turns, if you face legal claims around copyright infringement. Last thing is Whisper Large V3, which is the next version of open source automated speech recognition model, has been announced and it's been released, and they're planning to support V3 in their API. So this is a ton of information. Long and short of it is that OpenAI has listened to developers. They've listened to developers trying to build applications using GPT models. They've heard their complaints. What they're doing and the tools that they're releasing enable you to get to that next level. Last thing I want to mention are the custom versions of ChatGPT. They call this just GPTs in general. You could go to the Explore page and you can scroll around. They've taken these tools that were previously usable through like the GPT-4 interface, and they've made them into these GPTs. We haven't really even seen the potential of this yet because it hasn't been made public yet, but soon they're going to make this option public where you can create your own GPTs. If your GPT does well enough, it will be monetized. Coming soon, you'll be able to make money based on how many people are using your GPT. There are some other company announcements that are going to blast through really quick. Not very well timed. It's sort of like a blockbuster movie coming out at the same time as like a small indie film. Some people are going to care, but most people are going to go to watch Oppenheimer. From X.AI, Elon Musk, they have announced their Grok model, which is just another LLM with a twist. It can retrieve data from Twitter or X. Personally, Elon Musk, I do not believe that this is a good thing. I believe this is a bad thing. Twitter is not curated. The kinds of red teaming that people do on models are precisely to try to eliminate or reduce the types of behavior that you see in spaces like Twitter. I don't think Twitter has the best of humanity. I think it has some of the best of humanity, but I think if you take Twitter as a whole, you're up with a scary monster. And maybe that's what Grok will be. It does have sort of a scary monster name. Last piece of news is that Samsung released a model with Gauss named after me. Thanks, Samsung. Appreciate the shout out. That's all for this week. It's been a huge week. Stay tuned for more news to come.